of CRL because it's team versus team. You're not necessarily going to see the matchup that you want to see. But here we go. Game 1, Vulkan versus Surgical Goblin. We're going to start off with just a little cycle Goblin game.
And looking, I mean, very possible. Surgical Goblin playing, not playing bait. Interesting, playing Royal Hogs. Remember, bans this time out, Dark Prince and Fisherman.
and Surge already saying good game, so.
This is going to be really interesting. Vulkan looking like he's playing 2.9.
Does look that way. Ice Golem going to be met with the log, so neither of those units will be able to get any real damage onto that tower. But that's one shot from the archer on the left. We count it, right?
This is a really fast Royal Hogs deck.
Both of these decks are really fast, so out they go. And that's going to be the mini P.E.K.K.A on the right-hand side as well. My favorite little card coming out. Maybe going to be able to connect a tower unless something is played to pick it up.
Yeah, log did not get to the mini P.E.K.K.A, so had to play the ice spirit as well, and that's just a big
rocket
pile, rocket late, and Surgical Goblin just pouring it on right now. So Vulkan playing the rocket version, not actually playing 2.9.
Yeah, but unfortunately that rocket was just a little bit misplaced, did not pick up all the units going for that tower, and this is a decisive lead for Surgical Goblin in game 1 with 1:30 left. Princess Tower already down, and that bottom left tower down to 1549. It's a huge lead.
Might I interrupt you for a moment for our obligatory Chief Pat reference?
Ah.
All right, Magic Archer cycled in the back, and look at that special hair from the golden up. Yeah, with the little streaks in it as well.
That's pretty cool. Going to be supporting the Ice Golem and the Hogs coming out as well. And the Goblin Gang in the pocket. The pressure here is just so...
It's a perfunctory final minute of this game.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to win tower down with Expo. You're not going to get back into it. It's a really frustrating way to start the game. Personally, I don't like playing against Royal Hogs when I'm playing Expo, but you know, everyone has their own opinions.
All right, so finally we get to see the Expo go down, but the Hogs are played in response. And there just doesn't seem to be a great answer from Vulkan to deal with these Hogs.
Well, having Rocket instead of Fireball definitely makes it a lot more challenging. You have it's the higher cost and
it's so much slower.
Range.
It's so much slower
higher
too.
Cost doesn't cover as much ground.
Yeah. So Expo now put down at the river, but with 30 seconds left, a nice fireball too is just going to eviscerate Vulkan's defenses, and Surgical Goblin just going to be pushing straight for the win.
Yeah, a little bit of, I mean, you know, it looked like he was playing bait at first, so he's playing a version of Fireball bait instead. Second Magic Archer down. Yeah, this is going to be a tall order for Vulkan top to bottom, but the way this game started out, once you go tower down, no way coming back against this deck with Expo. So game number 1 in the books, Surgical Goblin with a very, very decisive win to open things up.
Yeah, it was actually very close to winning that 2 towers to none, but only going to walk away with the 1 crown. Who's got the better read going into game number 2? And that's the T.
Yeah, Surge just really, I mean, look, it was a tough matchup, but Surge really just punished early on and picked him apart. So we'll see what he goes with in game number 2. Now, I do like this. Interesting. Surge might have just straight copied decks.
Yeah. So just going to throw out.
And I mean, okay, look. To Expo Tesla to open the game is absolutely bananas. It's one of those things where people, when they talk about 2.9 or talk about Expo decks, they go, all you do is you spam Expo Tesla and throw a bunch of stuff in front of it. And then pros are like, no, you play with some more nuance. And here goes Surgical Goblin opening up, just throws down Expo Tesla. And he's a good enough player to not get punished for it. But well, I am absolutely surprised to see
knowing when you can pull it off. That's what it's about. You got to know the rules before you break them. It's this in any creative field. And I'd include this as one of them. Vulkan looking with the Executioner this time, but yeah, so Expo is just going to go straight into that Giant Skelly.
Yeah, this is a little better result for Vulkan in this exchange.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to deal with each other in the end. Ice Golem will pick up the Executioner, which will not get a single attack onto that Princess Tower. So far it's been pretty good for Surgical Goblin in the beginning. You can look at that bottom right Princess Tower down to 1585. Definitely has the HP tempo advantage right now, but double elixir is just around the corner, and we'll see how they change up their strats.
Well, and that's when you can get back to just getting Teslas all over the place. So again, it's gonna be difficult. I think Vulkan's probably running Tornado in here somewhere. Yeah, there you go.
He was like, yep, I heard you, and there it is.
Yeah. So, isn't his Tornado's not going to be helpful in a lot of ways.
That's an Expo lock, though, onto this tower. It's going to bring it down so low. Bar Barrel and Baby Dragon are both used in order to just keep that tower alive, but it might only be a matter of time now for Surgical Goblin.
And then just a defensive Expo because he knows he can rock it out when he wants to. So, assuming he's running rocket, he's running Fireball, he can cycle that out too. So, Surge can just kind of sit back here and play some good defense and not overexpose himself.
Out comes the giant
there
skeleton.
It is, traditional 2.9.
So Fireball gonna hit the skeleton, gonna hit the tower. 416 HP is all that separates Surgical Goblin from a game 2 victory.
And it's the graveyard deck, so it is a.
I thought it was gonna be a clone.
Well, it is this sort of a version of that Splash Yard that was so popular last season.
But it does, I mean, sure, that's sizable damage, right? You're gonna get that tower down to 1566, but
at this point.
Yeah, what does it matter? You're down to 416, we're going into overtime. Surgical Goblin can just cycle and win here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's again, a really difficult matchup. And there you go, Vulkan waving the white flag.
Throwing down the towel. Wow. Surgical Goblin finishes that off with a Fireball and takes a 2-0 lead in this best of.
In contention for those top 2 spots. Complexity is also, I mean, look at the roster they have put together. Colton and Razor, who they pretty much established what it means to be a 2v2, professional 2v2 duo in Clash Royale. I mean, they kind of they set the standard for what that is.
Yeah, and I always bring it up that they showed up to one of our Buffalo Wild Wings Clash nights.
Oh yeah,
and then I forget who. I think it was Colton who did actually come in first place. And normally we would do a top 2 1v1, but they said no, we want to do a top 2 2v2. And it was Blaze and somebody. Maybe it was Woody versus Colton and Razor, and they put on quite the show.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Well, but then you add in the guy who's sitting here, Vulkan, who's playing at the moment, and then of course Adrian Piedra, who I believe is one of the better full set head-to-head players. You know, when you give him a full 1v1 set, I think he's one of the better players in that position. Yeah. And then, of course, adding in Air Surfer on top of that and what he did in all the global tournaments earlier on this year.
So if you want to know a fun fact, when I was studying up on Clash Royale, so I didn't look, so embarrassed next to you, and I needed to learn the different kinds of deck names, I went onto YouTube and I searched, like, a rundown on different kinds of deck archetypes in Clash Royale, and you know who taught me? It was Vulkan, sitting right there.
Oh, there you go.
He ran through all the different deck types. I'm like, oh, that's what a bait deck is. That's
wow. Look at that. Royal Ghost going to town on the top left-hand side. Same on the bottom. So
yeah, it's a pretty even trade overall. So
it's a near mirror that's being played almost mirrored as well. The zap in for Vulkan, snowball in for Surgical Goblin. And of course, we have not seen a Magic Archer yet out for Vulkan. I don't think we're going to.
Oh, so Royal Ghost is going to connect onto the tower. Going to be answered by the Royal Ghost. He's so spooky. It is spooky season.
The spooky ghost.
Yeah, it is spooky season right now. So it's officially time to put Royal Ghost back into your decks.
I'm wondering if Surge puts a Magic Archer up high. Probably a little bit late for that now.
What's the spookiest card? Is it
the spookiest card?
Probably Royal Ghost.
I'd go with the Witch.
Oh, maybe.
Summons all the dead dudes.
All right, so that's going to be the offensive poison drop from Vulkan. Going to get a lot of value on it because of all of those defensive troops that were played. But now we have the P.E.K.K.A., the Royal Ghost, the Bandit played, but they're going to be kited by the Battering Ram. So very well played in defense by Vulkan, but...
Nice battle ram kite, but Surge is starting to pour on. Yeah, there's so much on the board right now. And it was the E-Wiz helping his P.E.K.K.A. win the battle early on his side of the map that really changed this momentum.
Yeah, look at those minions played up at the river, too, to really help in defense. But this Magic Archer is still alive. The amount of damage that single troop pulled off was absolutely insane, and we're going into overtime still pretty even in HP.
And Ghost goes invisible, so does not get that bandit dash to Vulkan. In sudden death, Vulkan fighting from behind.
I'm wondering what is Surgical Goblin holding on to? We haven't seen that last card yet.
It's a big spell, most likely.
Yeah, probably a big spell, or unlikely a dead card, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe it's going to be that finisher. Poison dropped on the left.
It's almost assuredly poison. It could not be, but
I'm just surprised that we haven't seen it yet if it was poison. But
well, he hasn't needed to put on the pressure. He hasn't needed to spend that 4 elixir on that side yet.
Yep. All right, P.E.K.K.A v P.E.K.K.A. This mirror matchup. There it is. Finally, the poison dropped offensively for Surgical Goblin. Going to be able to get a lot of chip damage onto that bottom right tower.
That was really nice defense from Vulkan, though. That was a really, really tough spot. Got the Ewas down in a good spot to help slow everything down, and that was really clean. And now, even though he's got a little bit less HP on his single tower, he does have both lanes open on his offensive side. So Vulkan has done a good job of turning this into a much closer match than opened up as.
Yep, and so just because of that poison placement, going to be able to chip down that tower as well as take out the magic archer, so decent value there. And look at this, sees the P.E.K.K.A on the right-hand lane and instantly goes left lane, but will it be enough to reach tower?
And that magic archer was huge.
Yeah.
Really, really nice placement, and this is going to be a little difficult here for Vulkan.
I feel like Magic Archer has just been one of the defining cards of this series.
And
got the
wow, Bandit gets away.
That's got to be it. Magic Archer, there's no threat. With this Royal Ghost get it. The poison is there.
Wow.
And Surgical Goblin picks it up 3-0.